Hello there everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to a review of this week's daily race from Lago Maggiore in the Group 2 2016 GT500 cars. And in this one we're going to talk about dirty air, we're going to talk about tyre temperatures probably, and we're going to talk about an incident that occurs in this race a little bit later. So the setup for this race is that we have 12 laps to get round. We've got the soft and the medium tyres available. Tyre wear's just at times 3, fuel's at times 1 or times 2, I can't remember. And we are in the Honda NSX. We're on the Womble Comrade account because I'm trying to get this one up to A+. And we're just a couple of races away from getting there in this one. We'll set a qualifying time of a 1:39.0, so good opportunity to start towards the front with that qualifying time and get the DR necessary to get up to A+. Now, it's a pretty weak field, all things considered, with just 5 A+ drivers in it. It's not been a popular combination, probably for a couple of reasons. One is that Group 2 generally isn't that popular anyway. People much prefer Group 3 and Group 4, and of course the dirty air that we'll talk about in a little bit more detail later on has been the dominant point of conversation and discussion for most people that have been streaming this race, and it probably does tend to put some people off because it is definitely a factor to be dealt with in this one. So, courtesy of Michael El Paso spinning off there, we have moved up into P3. Now, most of the drivers in this one are actually now in the Nissan GTR. Interestingly enough, it kind of started off as an NSX week, but people quickly realised that the Nissan GTR was actually the faster car, but we've stuck with the NSX in this one. Slower on the straights, maybe a little bit better in the corners, but the GTR certainly looks like it's got 2 or 3 temps over the NSX in raw speed. So coming out of Big Banky Boy there for the first time, the Italian ahead of us has had a little bit of a moment. It's going to give us a little bit of a run into the right-hander up here at the end of lap 1. The Italian driver goes defensive. We're going to take a little bit of a look down the inside here, but just a kind of showing our nose rather than going for any kind of overtake, and status quo is resumed as we get into the last corner here to end lap 1. Now, you may well have noticed, but there is a very high profile driver towards the back who is going to make an appearance later on in this one, and that is Mr. TRL Lightning. You can actually see as we jump forward to lap 6 here, he has moved up to P5 from the back in the Lexus RCF. So lap 6 here, you can see that we have dropped behind the Italian driver to around about 1.6 seconds, and we've got the German in P4 about 1.4 behind us. The race has settled down, I think it would be fair to say. So I think this is probably a good opportunity as any to talk about the dirty air, and it's definitely a factor in this race. It can be pretty bad at times. It is a bit of a worst case scenario with the layout of the track featuring a lot of very fast corners. But yes, dirty air in Group 2, the turbulent air coming off the car in front does make it very difficult to attack the car in front. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of saying it's nearly impossible to overtake. And well, I will say this, let's be honest, if you're in the same car and you're very evenly matched with the driver in front and you've got the same kind of tyre wear, then of course it's going to be difficult to overtake. But put in custom slipstream there and all of a sudden it's now easy to overtake and attack, which is, well, it's not really the way it should be, is it? You know, any motorsport I've watched, equally matched drivers and equally matched machinery certainly don't just kind of ghost up to the back of each other, get the slipstream and then overtake, and then all of a sudden the roles are reversed because the car behind has now got such a massive advantage. So there's two evils out there. You've got the dirty air, which is very difficult to contend with and requires a little bit of adaptation, or you've got that custom slipstream where it kind of turns the races into Mario Kart and creates all sorts of chaos. I could just imagine the chaos into Big Banky Boy if we had custom slipstream here. You would get such a slip, not just on the straight, you'd be getting it literally from the acceleration zone from the first curve of the Aces, that you'd be going free wide up into Big Banky Boy, and people would be battling like mad to be in the inside, because if you're on the outside, you're ended up in the gravel. So yes, we've got two things that are not great to deal with, and a lot of people are going, well, why can't they just fix it And the logical answer kind of has to be, let's be brutally honest, the logical answer has to be is they can't. Because if they could, they would. If they could reduce the dirty air with real slipstream, I have to presume they would do it. And now I don't understand why they can't fix it. The logical conclusion has to be that slipstream and dirty air are intertwined with each other with however the algorithm or the setting works within the game. So basically, to reduce the dirty air, you have to make the slipstream stronger. To make the slipstream weaker, you have to increase the dirty air. For whatever reason, that appears to be what the system is in the game. I think what would be kind of interesting is if we were maybe to introduce custom slipstream into lobby settings and allow the community to maybe play with it. If there is actually a kind of slider there that kind of increases one and decreases the other, then maybe a better balance could be found. Because let's be honest, in this race, if the slipstream is maybe 10% stronger and the dirty air maybe 10% weaker as a result, that certainly wouldn't be too bad. I think whenever they kind of go for the custom slipstream, they maybe just go a little bit too far, make the slip too strong and completely eliminate the dirty air. But that's enough dirty air talk in this one. Let's get back to the race here. A lot has happened as I have been jabbering on there, and we made our pit stop on lap 6. The Italian made their pit stop on lap 7, and we got a little bit of a run of them down into Big Banky Boy there. They made a mistake as they came out of the pits, and now this is probably my last opportunity coming up the hill here to try and get an overtake on the Italian driver. They've got one lap fresher tyres, and we go for a little bit of a dummy move up the inside, and the Italian kind of reacts to my move and we take them out. Now you're probably looking at that and thinking that's an absolute stone waller. That is 100% on you, Wombo. That is a bit of a clanger you have made there. That we will analyse that incident a little bit more as the video goes on. Now of course you're probably thinking, why aren't you waiting, Wombo? Well, we've talked about that one as well. We very much have a don't wait policy, but we lost a lot of time there, and the German who was behind us by 1.4 seconds is now pitted on lap 9, and they are immediately behind us, and TRL Lightning has passed us in the process. Now the Italian is clearly not happy about what has went down there, as you're going to see from some of the comments or the chat bubble that's going to pop up as we go round the next few corners. Now I'd probably be fuming if I was the Italian myself. Of course, I've just been taken out whilst running in P2 by some idiot in a red NSX behind me. Now he is taking it pretty badly, to be fair. You know, he wants my account banned, he's getting on to Lightning, telling him to watch the replay and stuff like that. Now we were definitely a little bit flustered after that incident. Our driving went a little bit to shit, and we've got the German behind us on much fresher tyres as well. Now we should have been able to hold on to this P3. Our tyre wear is certainly not that bad, and the tyre temps would be absolutely fine at this point, but we were driving scrappy. I think we probably did overheat the tyres. Tyre temperature's critical on these soft tyres. There is a possibility we have mashed them a little bit, and the Maestro gets past us there, but we do hold on to bring the car home in P4, which was enough DR to get us very close to A+. So yeah, we'll take a look back at that instant there, and I will kind of try to give you my defence, but I suspect a lot of you are probably going to side with the Italian on this one. Now I did apologise in the chat, kind of apologise, you could maybe say, maybe not the most heartfelt apology, but I was sorry that I ruined their race. That certainly was not the intention, but they got a little bit threatening in the chat. I could have reported them for it, to be perfectly honest with you, because they were making actual threats to me, but you know, they were frustrated about what had happened. I get it, they're talking, they're in the chat talking angry there. I wasn't going to report them for that, given we had ruined their race. But let's go back and take a look at what happened anyway, right from the beginning. So the Italian has just made their pit stop there, one lap after us. They've made a bit of a mistake coming out the pits as well. That's kind of borked me. Lost me a little bit of time. I'm very well aware that I've got Mikhail Hazal, TRL Lightning coming up behind me. Now there's probably not very much I'm going to be able to do about Lightning once he gets here, but we did have like a 3.5 second gap, so I was thinking we could maybe hold on towards the end of the race, and especially if I get ahead of the Italian, that would be a nice little buffer. So coming onto the straight there, I would say they're moving around a little bit. They've got to go defensive there, we got to move to, and then they kind of move to the inside a little bit there. I wasn't especially happy, so I'm not going to lie, I wasn't particularly enamoured with their driving this lap here, which may well have factored into the fact that we go for a little bit of a interesting move into the fast right-hander here. Now, to be honest with you, I do think they moved across the nose of our car a little bit. So we go for the move here, we make our intentions clear, and then they kind of just swing across the front of our car. Now, I'm not exonerating myself from here. It's very much on me, this one. But what I would say is I think the Italian made it a bigger collision than it may well have had to be. It may well not have been a collision at all. I don't think they took their normal line into the corner. I think they kind of reacted to me going for a little bit of a move to the inside, and as evidence I will present you with this. So this is the Italians' positioning of the car on lap 1 when they went a little bit defensive with us on the outside. On lap 3, this is the positioning of their car going into that corner from the racing line, of course. So you can see they're right up at the curb there. They haven't turned into the corner. Again, on lap 5, exactly the same positioning as they started to open up that gap to us. And now on this next slide that we're going to look at here, from lap 8, the instant you can see where the Italian's car was at the point of contact. Now, my issue with that is that the Italian approached this corner on the racing line with looking like he had no intention whatsoever of defending this corner. This is why I believe the Italian reacted to my move, and I wouldn't necessarily say instigated the contact, but made the contact inevitable. As I said, I'm not exonerating myself from this incident at all, but I do think the Italians' abrupt move to the right hand side in reaction to my move made the contact inevitable. Had they kind of taken the normal line that they indicated they were going to, then there's a probable pretty good chance that contact could have been avoided. But yeah, that's my defence for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have I managed to convince you that this was a racing incident more than just a bad overtake attempt from me? Are you sending Womble Comrade off to Siberia and into the gulags for 5 years of hard Forza playing as a punishment? Thank you very much for watching, folks, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.